How to start your Monday morning. Start the fire, boil the water, grind the coffee, add filter, coffee in the filter, water into filter, watch it drip, more water, watch it drip some more, fill your cup, raise your cup, and no. Leave the house and leave it up to the professionals to make the coffee. I'll stick to the conversations. Welcome to Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen.
Hey, good morning. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm Brooke Allen. This is episode number 93. I hope you all had a good weekend. So listen, it was only fitting that I had to brush up on my law degree. I went to see Legally Blonde on Friday, the musical at the Riverwalk Theater in Lansing. And I did that with the sole purpose because I'm with a bunch of lawyers today. It's kind of crazy. I don't know who's more nervous, me or you guys.
You better be more nervous.
So I saw that. That is running. Very quick, funny story. My twins love the movie Legally Blonde. And for some reason, I thought it was the musical. So when we sat down to watch it the very first time, I said, oh, you guys are going to love this. This is a musical. And all of a sudden, they're like, this is not a musical. So that's why we went to Lansing to see Legally Blonde, the musical at the Riverwalk Theater. It is a really great show. They do a wonderful job, and it's running next weekend as well. So if you have a chance, go and check it out. So this is what is happening today. We have, my family has actually not been without trials and tribulations going on. I will be honest with all of you about that. My mom has been in and out of the hospital. She's okay, but it's been, the emergency room has not been her friend lately. So that has been going on. Also, I mentioned a couple weeks ago that the twins were, for the first time in their lives, going to different schools. That has never happened. So that has been kind of an adjustment, a little bit for them, a lot for me, being at the same place at the same time, two different places. It is a struggle sometimes. But I think the realization is hitting them that this is their last year of middle school. And all of a sudden, all they're doing almost 24/7 is trying to figure out what they want to be when they grow up. And I mean, the pressure is on, and I keep trying to tell them, hey, slow your roll. You're okay. You don't have, you have a lot of time to figure this out. But after seeing Legally Blonde, Daisy does want to become a lawyer. Ironic, I know. So she was watching Hamilton.
It's the shoes.
Yes, it is the shoes, right? Jeffrey Abood and his shoes. Look at that.
Go ahead, show the audience.
Exactly.
Look at that, huh?
No, they are sharp. I don't know. Do you turn into a pumpkin at midnight?
I don't think so. Haven't yet.
So that has been going on in our lives. And also, my divorce has been final for about 3 years now. And it seems like they're having a delayed reaction. And I don't know if you guys can address this at all. But the whole idea of, we've kind of moved on. And it seems like it's just now hitting them. They're 13 and they seem like they're finally getting, we're not getting back together. We're not, we do talk. We're amicable. We live 2 blocks apart. But it's been very interesting because they've been having some fits actually about this.
That's good though, that you're that close that you can be parents. You can be parents if you want to be. But
Correct.
That's the key.
If you can be.
If you can be and if you want to be, right?
Right,
Okay.
because it still takes 2.
It does.
Still
It
takes
does.
2.
So anyway, so that's kind of what we've been going through personally, and the tears and the temper tantrums, and so that has been pretty interesting. And another interesting topic, of course, is child support, because that is something that it seems like a no-brainer. And Macomb County Prosecutor Pete Lucido,
Yeah.
Elisa Peskin-Shepherd, and Jeffrey Abood, and Debbie Savoy. She is here representing Hermanos Cancer Institute because they have a big event going on. But we're throwing you into the fray a little bit too, okay? So Pete, you have got an initiative
Right.
that you have been all over the place talking about, and it is going to be a pilot program.
It is going to be a pilot program because nothing you do goes perfect. So you want to make the adjustments through the pilot program. But we already have the court system in place. It's been in place for years. We have a family court division that they put in place for purposes of a child from birth all the way to 18 going into the family court system when there is the need for the court to intervene. But also they do custody support, visitation, medical, uninsured medical. And they also do any other issues. Visitation is critical because if you're going to have parenting time with the child, you need both to stabilize it. But the interesting part is we already have the prosecutor's office. We already have the front of the court. We also have the the MIDC gave money for indigent defendants to go ahead and have counsel. So that's all in place. And we have the sheriff's department because bunk space or bed space. So we all got together after we launched this program, and I said, look, who's opposed? What options or alternatives do you offer? And if you don't offer any, then let's go with it, because currently in Michigan, we are $5.6 billion with a B in back or arrearages in child support. $5.6 billion. In addition, Michigan has 83 counties. So I can tell you this, if you start to plug it away, Macomb's over $300 million in arrearages, $300 million. Oakland the same way, it's comparable. But Wayne is at 3.5 billion, more than half of what the total state arrearage is. So I said, wait a minute, we are not going down, we're continuing to go up. What do we do to solve this problem? Because as the prosecutor, the statute says, in addition to criminally prosecuting misdemeanors, felonies, doing appeals, doing juvenile, you shall establish paternity. That means fathers that are out there that are not in the birth certificate, we have to establish paternity. And here's the reason why. When a child is born, we want to have the father's name on the certificate for all various purposes. But if the mother is going to, or the father is going to go seek aid in the future, we want to make sure that the state, when they pay for the aid to assist the child's upbringing, is repaid by the appropriate party. In this case, mother or father who has the custodial custody, the other one is going to be paying if they weigh it. But after establishing paternity, we're supposed to set the child support amount. We do that. And then if it comes $5,000 or more, the statute says, then we have to go ahead, bring them in for a show cause, why they're not paying, and have, potentially the felony warrant. Because it's a felony in this state if the payer doesn't pay and it goes over $5,000. Well, I would be remiss, or I would be derelict in my duty if I didn't follow the law to do what my job is. But I don't want felons on the rolls. I want to get training for people. I want to make sure that money has been put aside for the child when the child needs it most, when it's a child. When the support is necessary for the upkeep and upbringing. I found that there's a huge economic reality when a child doesn't get supported. They find themselves out in the streets with their street family and they get in trouble. This is what we don't want, because the parent has to work 2 jobs. They have to go to work in the morning and afternoon or evening, and therefore the child is unattended. But what about accountability? Let's just throw it out there. We have a system in place. It's continually going up the amount. Children, as far as when I was born into this Italian family, there was only 8 of us. Mom and Dad made 10. So can you imagine if my dad didn't pay support, what my mom would have to go through with 8 kids and all?
So how, I think the one thing that is confusing to people is, how is that calculated? Because that's important, right? To mention.
Simple. They have child support guidelines are out there. You take the income of the payer and the payee, or the one that has custody and the one that, is visiting, and they push these 2 numbers together, and the computer spits out what the state has implemented, which is the child support guidelines. And it goes by, it used to go over overnights and this and that and everything else, but it's fair because everybody is treated the same. There is no disparity. And if somebody says, well, they're making more money, they're hiding their money. Go ahead, have an evidentiary hearing on it. But in my world, the world I lived in for over 30 years doing domestic, thousands of cases, I noticed that people always say they're out looking for employment. So with the new pilot program, I have Michigan Works. We're paying for them anyways as taxpayers. Let them be a part of the discussion. Let them be at the table. So when the person says, Your Honor, I'm out looking for work. Oh, that's perfect. There's Michigan Works. And you can start tomorrow, $18.50, and benefits after 90 days.
Right.
Who's going to fight with that? Well, no, I can't, Judge, because I got a roofing job to go to. Oh, you are working then. So we're going to get to the bottom of this today.
Right. Okay, so Jeff, you sat up when he was talking. Did you have something that you wanted to?
A few things. Yeah, well, as far as for child support, how it's calculated, and you're absolutely right, Pete, on how it's done. But there's also income earning ability. So the judge can impute somebody to an income. So if somebody chooses to not work and it's not related to a medical reason or some sort of impairment that prevents them from working, a judge can impute them. And sometimes people, but here's the difference too, is you have sometimes somebody that had a professional degree or higher education or training or whatever it is that hasn't worked the entire length of the marriage. A judge isn't all of a sudden going to impute them to the income of what they were making before. So those go into it. Child care costs go into it. I think it's up until the child is 12, I believe. Is that right? Those, yeah.
So what does that mean, though?
So it's whoever's paying child care, that gets factored into it as well, into the formula.
Oh, okay.
Also, health insurance does as well, too. So it is, but as Pete said, everybody is treated absolutely the same here because the formula is really strict. And I can tell you there's very few judges in the state of Michigan that are willing to deviate from it unless both parties agree and show a really compelling reason. And even then, we have a lot of judges that say, no, this is what the formula says. So that's something you can't really play around with.
But all your clients, I can assure you, think it's unfair, don't
Oh,
they?
totally. Everybody
Well,
does.
the reason why so many people think it's unfair is because the payor thinks that they are paying all
Too
the
much.
support for the child.
But
the
it's not nec-
formula takes into account, so each parent is actually contributing to the support of the child. So I make sure to try to explain to my clients, especially the payors, the people who are paying support, that you're just paying a portion of what it costs to support your child.
Right.
And I show them in the formula where what the payee, the person receiving support, usually the lower incomed person, is receiving and what they're contributing to the total family support. Because the child support guidelines and the formula takes into account family support, and then it divides it up between each parent, and there's a set off so that one parent is paying the other. And once you show that to your clients that they are not alone in supporting the child, they don't argue as much about
The problem is a lot of times they don't think it's going to the child directly and it's going to the other parent. And a lot of times it is. But back to the child support amount, I can tell you most of the time, whatever that child support number is that you have to pay if you're the payor, it's a lot less than what it actually costs to raise a child. It's a minimal amount most of the time compared to what it really costs.
So why is this such an issue?
Because
is it because you're getting divorced and you're already pissed off at each other? Right, so you're already mad, and then money just complicates it.
Right, and you're taking one household,
Yes,
and you're splitting it into two.
up, right?
On
And
the same amount of money
everybody
usually. Yeah.
Only thinks about their own needs, and so trying to get the parents to think about the needs of both families, because child support is also going for the other parent's overhead for the housing that is taken into
So is there
account.
something that because there's no way, I know I don't have to account for how I spend the money.
No.
So is that something that's down the pike?
They
you think,
don't.
or-
No.
They don't have to
No way.
account because
That would be a
if you look
nightmare.
at what a medical bill is, any utility bills or a house payment or any of those things that benefit the child that's in their custody, you can't dissect every number and said the electric bill was $300. There's two people in the household. I should be only paying $200.
Even the
doesn't
car
go
bill,
like
people
that.
think that when they're paying child support, it should go directly to the child's food and clothing. They forget that the car, the house,
It
the
all
electric,
contributes, right,
everything
to their
else.
well-being.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what about say summer camps, like extracurricular stuff like that?
That is not enshrined. That is something that both parties generally try to work out. But when they ain't talking, then they got to make sure that, if you want the child to go to camp and the other one doesn't, you're paying camp. That's how it works. Same with public school versus private school. You want to pay for private school? Go pay for it. I'm not doing it because I went to public, the father says or the mother says, and I'm not paying for it.
Unless it's something you talk about
And have it in the judgment.
before
And have it in the
you
judgment.
get divorced, and it's in the judgment.
Yes,
so
in the
many
judgment.
judgments do have a provision for
Absolutely. Or
extracurricular
if your
activities.
children have already been in private school and if you can afford it,
continue.
But I have some cases right now where the children have been in private school, but now because of the divorce, they can no longer afford it.
Jeff, what about the fact that they, right away, the fathers and the mothers, they step up, they want to be, the best parent of the year award. And then all of a sudden, a change in circumstances, they lose their job and they've already committed to the private school. Sometimes you can't get away from that then. And then what do you do? It would be the same if you're married, okay? Then you're saying, what do we do? And you work it out. And we can't afford this. We have to make some changes. That's why a lot of times you want the very best for your child. Most people do. But unfortunately, changing in circumstances, the job may close down. You may have what's called relocation. It's a lot of things happening, especially with the economy we have today.
Okay, so Elisa, do you have something that as far as parents not getting along, and I guess too, I mean, depending on how many kids you have, right? I mean,
Right.
so that could complicate things, and it changes everyone's. What do you guys have a term for it? What is it? How you're accustomed to living or something?
Well, sure. The way that we look at lifestyle more in terms of for spousal support, not necessarily for child support, but it's the real basis is, and as we've talked about, if the parents can talk and communicate. So in my cases where I'm mediating, I'm a neutral, but I can provide information to my clients to think about, give them the things to think about. So if their children are in private school and dad is paying the cost, what are we going to do if dad can't afford it? And can we include language in your settlement agreement that takes care of that kind of situation so you're not going back to court in the
That's
future?
very important to
point.
anticipate all
Good
that
point.
stuff that could happen ahead of time, because a lot of times to go back to court, say dad loses his job, can't afford to send the kids to private school. Mom says, yeah, we still want the kids to go to private school. Guess what? They could spend more money litigating that issue than what the private school tuition is for the rest of the kids' school career.
And
Absolutely.
let's talk about a disability. So, you're healthy, you're doing well, and all of a sudden you become disabled as a parent. And if you're paying child support, you need to fill out the paperwork immediately for the disability that you have, because it goes back from the time of filing, but also for the child or children that you have, they get the stipend until they're 18, graduate high school, but not beyond 19
If you
and a half.
qualify
If you
for
qualify.
disability.
But you have to
qualify for disability first.
But you have to go through some hoops, which is having a doctor first certify you and then go before a Social Security administrative law judge.
And
that
then
will-
sometimes appeal.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It can take a long time, but filing your petition with the court that there has been a change in your income, that you have to do immediately.
And that also goes to losing your job or getting a job with a lower income, because a lot of times people wait and assume it's going to be okay and they'll deal with it later. Well, guess what? It only starts from the date you file your motion asking the court. I've represented a lot of pro athletes even who had lost their contracts and were on the hook for paying an insane amount of money a month, and it's just accruing, and ultimately some of them have been charged with felonies as a result of not being able to pay it because they never bothered to go back to the court and let them know, hey, I'm no longer making $10 million a year or whatever it was.
A lot of people do that though. They just let it go, and then it just
and
escalates.
not just the sports figures.
It could be anybody.
It's
anyone,
it's
right?
the everyday person.
Absolutely.
Who isn't aware and doesn't want to even pay for an attorney to find out what their rights are. But that can cost them so much more money.
It's from the date of filing that the court looks to for change in circumstances. You sleep on your rights, you lose your rights.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, so I had some people comment about stuff, right? And so Jeff, he had said, well, they call it friend of the court, but it is certainly not my friend. So
It's all in your perspective.
so I
Macomb County, we got a lot of people. Do
you have a lot of friends?
Oh, a lot of friends. I got a guy.
Of course you got a guy. You're probably
course
making
you have a
sauce
guy.
too, right?
I do like the sauce.
Okay, and then
No, here's the thing with the front of the court,
yeah,
though, real
tell
quick,
me.
is that these referees that are there to provide a recommendation. It's not necessarily what they say isn't the same thing as a judge to where it's automatically a judgment. Typically, the referee is doing, well, they usually do their best to get it right at what they believe it would end up at. And either side could object to it and go before the judge. Now, there are some judges that'll just simply rubber stamp whatever the referee said, and that's it, and it becomes a judgment. Some, or an order. Some judges actually take the time. Some will disagree with the referee, and some will go through everything through an evidentiary hearing, listen to both sides, look at all the evidence, and you might get a different result. But the hard thing that a lot of people have with it is, as you said, the everyday people that are conscious of attorney fees. And a lot of times, even if they're not everyday people and they are that pro athlete or that huge income earner and they come to us, and I tell them a lot of times, you're going to spend more money in attorney fees than fighting over what this change is. Because if you add up how much that difference in child support is versus however many years you're going to be paying it for or receiving it for, you could easily spend more money in attorney fees than what it's worth. So that's why I think the friend of the court should be your friend, because it's a more cost-effective way of trying to figure out what you're getting at. And also private mediation, which does cost money, but it avoids the expense, uncertainty, the stress, everything else of litigation
Yes.
that you're going to go through.
Right. And also, the friend of the court is there for the child, right? Their primary focus is what's in the best interest of the child. And the referee is working with a family custody and parenting time specialist who's usually a mental health professional and a support specialist. So you get your specialties that you need in order to come up with a comprehensive resolution.
Hey, you know what? Hold that thought. You know, so many people live in chronic pain. I had a chance to sit down with Doug, who said Dr. Kogan was a lifesaver. Let's watch. Hey, well, I am hanging out here with Doug. He is one of Dr. Kogan's, one of thousands of happy patients, and you were actually in for a knee issue, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so how did he treat you?
Oh, that's a great question. You'd have to ask him the specifics. But if you want the non-technical terms,
Right.
he has a machine, a concept that I believe he came up with that actually gently opens up the knee, right, to allow the natural fluids to go in. And obviously the natural fluids, or the fluid, is what helps us, right, when we're walking and to avoid pain.
Right, and so I believe the procedure you're talking about is knee restoration RX.
That sounds
right?
familiar,
Does that sound
yes,
familiar?
correct.
Okay, so you went in there in an extreme amount of pain, and how are you doing now?
Well, I mean, I couldn't walk. I hobbled in.
Really?
So, I was in bad shape. So, doing now, I'd say I'm a 7 out of 10 in
Okay.
3 weeks.
Wow.
And I mean, I couldn't get around. The doc joked, he asked if I wanted the temporary handicap
Right.
sticker, and then highly suggested a cane, which I refused.
Okay.
Too young for a cane.
Right?
Right.
Okay, so you were like, absolutely not, let's just do this.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the doctor?
I'm gonna give him a 10.5.
Really? 10.5, huh?
Just shy of an 11.
All right. Awesome. Thank you
Right.
so much. I appreciate you taking the time. And, it is amazing when you can feel better almost instantly without having a surgical procedure, right?
Right.
Because
Oh.
the downtime is minimal.
Oh, it's nothing. I mean, you're talking about time. It's 20, 25 minutes. You're in and out of the office versus what was looking at was probably a knee replacement.
Oh, so big effort.
Huge.
Okay.
Right.
Well, I'm so glad. Thank you for stopping by and
Thank
talking
you.
about it. And high five to Dr. Kogan. We give him a
agree.
10.5.
Yes, you got it.
Thank you. And of course, Doug is just one of the many happy patients and recovered patients that Dr. Kogan has helped. Of course, they have 3 locations. And if you mention Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen, you will get 50% off your treatment plan. Who can beat that deal? You can check it out online at nervediscinstitute.com.
I've told many of the clients over the years, look, number one, you have to understand there's 3 phases in a divorce. The first is the emotional, when it's actually happening. The next is the anger, where you're in the midst of cutting up property and you're saying, look, all for one, one for all. And then the reality, I got to move on and I got to go ahead and make it on my own. And I got to take care of my babies and everything else. The friend of the court, though, they all seem to think that, gotcha, we're going to get you, we're going to get you. It's not that way. As long as you get counseled the proper way with your legal team, you have an opportunity then to go ahead and act before the judge has to react to your inability to go ahead and follow the law. And a lot of times you can go there and file a petition to ask for some relief, but the problem is they don't follow through with the appropriate orders.
Correct.
And courts speak through their orders. So I liked the fact that we have an option now, an alternative for fathers or mothers, whoever is parenting the child, and the payor. We have this opportunity to give them employment because it's been over and over and over, they go in and said, I can't find a job. I'm a convicted felon. Well, when I was back up in the Senate, I did what's called clean slate legislation to blow away those felonies or misdemeanors or a combination. So you really don't have that. That comes off your record. But assuming you do, we're even going to give soft level felons an opportunity to get the job and put them to work. Isn't this what this is all about? Taking care of your responsibility, being accountable, and then I'll give redemption. Otherwise, there's no need to give redemption. And it's important that we don't convict on a child support for your felony, since it's hard enough to get a job. Why even make it more as an impediment with a felony conviction?
You're right. You're never going to be able to get caught up then.
Right. So
This is my first case, Judge. How am I doing?
You're doing great.
Good.
High
Someone's
five.
going to have
All
the
right.
conviction. They
How
could
long
potentially be
before
locked
the
up.
other counties catch on?
Well, is this on? Can you hear me in the background? Testing. I want all counties to pilot something because doing nothing is not an option anymore. I want it because 22% of the state's budget for DHHS, Department of Health and Human Services, 20% of almost $40 billion is going to take care of children. Take care of children where the parent doesn't do it. And hence, I'm going to tell you right now, it makes no sense that I'm taking care of your child when you're supposed to be accountable. That's not my problem. Actually, I'll do this if you can't, only in the event that this is the last resort. But if somebody says I can't work because I'm disabled, we have to step in. That's what the dollars are there for. But the federal dollars are there because it's a disability. And if you're disabled, it comes from Social Security disability. And that's what's paying for the child's care and upbringing. Don't tell me you can't find a job anymore. Our governor has made it very clear. We're losing our job talent pool in the state. We're having a bunch of jobs that are unskilled, semi-skilled, and fully skilled. And if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, you go to work during the day, make sure you make some money to take care of yourself, and then go learn a career, a skilled trade at night to better yourself. And that's what we're willing to do. We're willing to work with everybody.
Okay, so when is this starting?
Now.
Now? Right this minute now?
My daughter said, you know what? Life is in session, which means it doesn't stop.
So can I send a client before they have their in arrears $5,000?
Absolutely. That's the best thing to do so it doesn't get to the $5,000, and we will go ahead. Number one, if the warrant is already in there, I want to be able to set it aside. And we can do that by a stipulated order, and the judges usually sign those, don't they?
Yes.
So can I interrupt you for a second? So when you say there's an order or a warrant, that means that if somebody gets pulled over, they're going to
go to jail.
arrested?
They have to, because that's the protocols is if there's a warrant out there, the police don't listen to, well, wait a minute, I just paid last week. No, you're going to jail. You're going to sit there. You're going to get arraigned on the warrant because it is a 4-year felony. And you're going to explain to the judge how you got so far behind.
And you probably shouldn't say anything after you get arrested. Don't try to explain anything.
Yeah. Your criminal hat.
Or before.
But I mean, so if somebody is just randomly like runs a stop sign or something and they're behind in their child support,
Yeah.
they are going to get arrested.
Hey, look, this is how the law was set up. I didn't make it. I got to follow it like all of us do. But also, if you want to change the law, you talk to your lawmakers, your House members and your Senate members here in the state, if you think it's unfair. But last time I checked, when I talked to some of these, because they come into our office on the 3rd floor of the Macomb County Executive Building down there, and they do a strip to determine paternity. That's how easy it is.
Really, right then.
Right then and there, we'll be able to tell you, congratulations.
It's a
Go get
boy.
a box of cigars. But also, you're going to have this. You're going to have the individual then know that there's going to be some support. What I don't like, and I will not tolerate, is when the mother goes ahead, has the baby, doesn't want to give this child's name, the name of the father. Okay, but when you go to collect benefits, when the child's father doesn't pay, you have to give up the name. We have to do what the statute and law says, and then we have to set the support. Well, if the father's working and says to the court, I'm not working, I can't find a job, because they're working for CASH, okay? I tell everybody that's, but when they're doing that and the mother's collecting from the state, don't you think that that's wrong?
Yeah. So she's making the state responsible, or whoever. It could be a man, right? It could be a father.
Right. You know what? I've
not always
learned
a
over
woman.
the years, it goes both ways. Whoever the payor is, male or female, mother or father, it is safe to say we're going to do the same thing for each parent. Nobody's getting any special treatment.
You're a scary guy, Mr. Lucido.
I don't think so. I think I got a kind
He's
heart.
passionate about what he believes
Oh,
in.
yes, definitely.
This is a good cause
Yes,
to believe.
for sure.
Give me some of that. Don't leave me hanging.
Okay, so actually, James, he said it is important to pay both emotionally and financially for children, no matter how you feel about your ex-spouse.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Very
Listen,
good statement.
That's a great
Right?
statement, James.
Isn't that
Thank
right?
you out there, James,
Right?
for your statement, and keep them coming, because if I have a fractured or a broke relationship with the mother, okay, because I'm a male, okay, I don't want later on to impede upon that childhood's critical years and upbringing. And we all feel this way. Screaming and yelling in front of each other about child support and you're stealing my money and you're doing this, forget it. Take that out when the child's not around. It's not healthy. It doesn't make for a good future of that child. You better give your child everything you can when they're children, because that solidifies their foundation for their upbringing.
So actually, you just brought up a really great point, the whole emotional part of this, right? Because if the other partner's getting mad because they're not getting paid and then they're arguing in front of the kids, it just escalates. And that translates to school problems and mental health
How can a
problems.
child think clearly? Their brain is developing when they're babies. And also, this is when their formative years are. And if you're yelling and screaming and fighting, it's the worst time. I remember a case, they said, the guy came back, he was 22 years old. He said, I want to talk to you, Mr. Lucido. I said, about what? He said, you did my mother's divorce with my father. You made us exchange, me getting exchanged at the police department. Oh, I said, I remember your parents. McDonald's didn't work, okay?
Let's be careful about McDonald's.
Which happened, McDonald's, the manager said, Pete.
Sometimes it works.
Yeah, sometimes. But they couldn't do it at curbside. They couldn't do it at McDonald's. And it was at McDonald's. The manager called me and said, Pete, no more. Tell the judge it's just not happening here.
Really?
There's too much fighting going on. And the last place was the police department. So at least they had to be calm when they went in and out of there. But I said, I'm sorry I did this, but I tried my best to make sure he had a relationship with both parents.
So how did it go?
Well, after 22 years, he looked at me and said, well, I got to tell you, don't do this with another kid.
Really?
He did tell me that. Yeah, it was so embedded in his brain about what harm was done sitting in a police department. He never wanted that
It
again.
wasn't the police department. It was the parents.
I was just going to say it wasn't you that made that decision. I
Right.
mean, you did it
It
for
wasn't-
his benefit, right?
Right.
The judge said, hey, look, I didn't make this baby. I'll never forget it. Probably know what judge it is over there in Macomb. But I'm going to tell you right now, you have an obligation to go under the court order and have child visitation. I said, well, yeah, we've been kicked out of everywhere. And he said, well, you find a spot where you're not going to get kicked out of. Well, the only place was the police department.
Right.
I didn't know of
And
anyone
it's
else.
really the child who, when the parents are arguing like that, who are suffering so much, they feel so insecure and so unstable that if we work with the parents first, the children will definitely benefit.
Okay, so Jeff, you have a look. What is your look?
No, I definitely agree with that. Listen, I've had to do it in a lot of cases, and sometimes it's also because of a potential domestic violence case or a no contact order or a PPO, personal protection order, and it has to be done there, and it really is
Right.
unhealthy for children, and it could be, right? But
those
it's
are
also could be for their
extenuating
safety, and it
circumstances.
could be the only opportunity that they're going to be able to see both parents. But we've had situations where some judges, we explain the situation to them, and judges have made exceptions to that no contact order or that PPO or whatever it may be to allow for exchanges to be somewhere else. And they tell them, listen, you don't even get one warning. You mess up once, you're going to be locked up, and that's it.
And you agree with that, right?
I have to. Why not? We got to give them a chance to see their kids.
It's funny. So when people mention your name and talk about you, the first thing that I hear is, he is so tough on those that don't pay child support.
Why wouldn't I be?
Right.
I got to tell you something. The state doesn't need to have a black eye like this. A $5.6 billion in arrearage. Why don't we do the right thing? Take care of our kids when we're supposed to, and everything will fall in place. And you may not see them in the foster care system. You may not see them on the streets, and you may avoid a juvenile record, which ultimately is going to not help the child. It's going to hurt them.
Okay, so what if somebody right now, they are behind themselves in child support and they know you're doing this. They don't live in Macomb though. What can they do?
Well, here it is. Number one, we're not the only ones that has a jurisdiction. The Attorney General's office also has statewide jurisdiction over every single 83 counties for child support, and they have lawyers in there. You remember, this is called the Cooperative Reimbursement Division, and it's funded by grants. And I have 5 lawyers that are grant funded, 2 investigators and a clerical that are out there. But before we started this program called the pilot program for a specialty court, and everybody knows, both the lawyers here know, or all the lawyers know, the specialty court, we have a drug court, a sobriety court, a veterans court, a mental health court,
Court.
a business court. Why not have a child support specialty court where it's the most vulnerable that we're taking care of, and we're also getting the funds to the child when the child needs it most for their upbringing and care. Lastly, if you don't have it in your county, then I suggest that you go to the front of the court and ask them, why can't we get them to Michigan Works and get them a job? They're already there.
Right.
They're already there. We have them on the payroll with their funding that comes from our state. And all I see is, God, did you hear Michigan is $5.6 billion behind in child support? That's disgusting.
I think a lot of it's lack of education and not education in traditional sense, but educating people on what they can and can't do. Like I said, I see it all the time where people have ignored it for years, and then all of a sudden they find out when they get or realize it when they get their warrant. That's when they or get arrested for a traffic stop
Can
or
you
something.
get your
And
license
that's when
if you're? So if they went to renew their license, that probably wouldn't happen either, right?
That's going to pop up, and that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. That's going to pop up, and it is because the legislature now threaded the needle. Sometimes it misses, like right now with the budget, but it threaded the needle, and it actually did the right thing, saying that you got to stay on course to pay your child support. You've got a car out there, you got a license, but yet you're telling the judge you're not working. How are you putting gas in that car? How are you insuring that car? How are you maintaining it? And you got a cell phone. How are you paying that bill? Somebody help me here, because this is obvious that they are working. They just don't want to fulfill their obligation under the law. Yeah. So be careful, because when you come in, we're going to work with you. But if you make me have people like law enforcement chase you and get you on a warrant, that doesn't help me. It doesn't help your kid. Do the right thing. Pete, I want to come in. I want to get this warrant set aside. I don't want to look over my shoulder anymore. Come on in. Let's get this resolved. Because we got to take a proactive approach on this, because for so many years, we had all these jobs and everybody doing them, but evidently, I can't say that they passed, because it keeps going up, the child support. It keeps going up on the arrearages. Okay. And we should not accept that for our children.
What you're doing in your county is great, because this is bringing to education, to awareness, and kind of forcing people or kind of leading people to it.
Did you say lead, or did you want to say force? You can go ahead and do that.
Yeah,
it's
but
optional.
no, but listen, here's the thing. In other counties, and I've handled these cases around the state and a lot with the AG's office, where we've been able to successfully resolve them. We've been able to talk to the AG or the prosecutor that's on it and work something out, whether it's a settlement amount or whether our client gets to work and starts making payments and something to get them to either dismiss the felony and give them some sort of probationary period.
We're doing a
or something.
771.
Yeah,
How's
yeah,
that?
771.
We're doing a
771.
I'm glad you asked.
I know, right?
771 is saying we're going to take it under advisement. We're going to let you get on track for a year, because the legislature only has 771 for 1 year. But if I have my way, I've already put the bill in from my office up to the Capitol. I want it up to 5 years. Any more than that is punishment, in my opinion. Yeah. And if somebody owes $40,000 in back child support, let's see how they do their second year and their third year. And if the judge wants to cut them loose, they're on board. But I want to see how many jobs we can fill, because we got a talent pool crisis. This is not funny anymore with plumbers, electricians, carpenters, tile setters. Where did they go? We need to backfill those jobs, because it's critical that we have those individuals, especially when we all get old. You know what I mean, guys?
Speak for yourself.
I don't know what you mean.
Okay, we're going to take a minute just because I feel bad because Debbie has been here.
Debbie, are you enjoying this?
I enjoy it. I find it very interesting. Mercifully, I never practiced family law when I was practicing full time.
Well, we're giving you information
Thank
that
you.
you can take
In case
to
I wanna-
other parents.
All right, or if I have a second career or something.
Second, third career, you
Yeah,
never know,
right,
right?
there we
So
go.
you are a board member at Carmanos, right?
Yes, I
Okay,
am.
and you guys have a big event coming up.
We do. It's called the Carmanos Car Show, and it's going to be this Saturday, September 20th, in Troy at 1330 North Crook. North Crooks Road in Clawson. It's just south of Maple, and it's we're going to have wonderful vehicles on display. This is a curated collection based on style and rarity of the vehicles, but you don't just have to look at the cars because they're fabulous, but we're also going to have food, beverages, adult beverages, and maybe not so adult beverages. And we're going to have entertainment, a live band, and dancing with dancers who will teach you how to dance in the 50s and 60s type of dancing if you don't already know. And we welcome people to come in their 50s and 60s garbs. If they're poodle skirts, we love those. And get your picture taken, and it'll be a lot of fun.
And this goes for research, correct?
Yes, it goes to research for Carmanos Cancer Institute. Carmanos Cancer Institute is an NCI Comprehensive Cancer Center. That's a pretty special designation. There are only 57 in the country. We have had our designation since 1978, and it's not something that, once you get it, then you have it for life. No, you have to, every 5 years, you have to go through a review, and we're currently going through that now. We've been renewed every time. Carmanos does a lot of clinical trials. In fact, probably 50% of the FDA-approved medications have had clinical trials done at Carmanos, so they've come through there. And one of the reasons that an NCI Comprehensive Cancer Center designation is important and getting treated at one is, number one, we only treat patients with cancer at Carmanos. And number two, your local hospital, while may be very good in a lot of areas, does not have access to the frontline and cutting edge treatments that are available in the NCI Comprehensive Cancer Centers.
So do you deal with all kinds of cancers?
Oh, we do.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Pediatric as well? Or
Yes.
okay. And this is the third annual, I think?
Yeah, it is.
Is it, right? So
it
third.
is. Yeah.
How do people get tickets for this?
How do we? Well, you can go to the door. And
Go to
you
the
can
door,
on
Jeff.
and the website.
Jeff, have you been to the
You
door?
know, if you've been to the door, that's
That's usually where I get mine. I don't plan ahead.
There you
so.
go. But you can go on the Carmanos Cancer Institute website.
Okay.
And
great.
remember, it's a fundraiser. Everything goes to research and unbelievable. So there's something for everybody. If
What
someone
time
in your
what
group,
time does it start?
7:30.
Go to the door, Pete.
Go to the door. Is the door going to be open? Or
Maybe, I don't know. It depends.
She might be
They might
standing in
close
front
it
of
when you get there.
She's gonna be like, "Oh, sorry, we're all sold out."
No, it's a fundraiser.
Sure, yeah, no. We'll take the money.
Everybody's welcome.
Thanks.
Yes, everybody, no matter what county they're from.
You know,
Well,
this
here
was
I am in Oakland, sitting here on this couch. I mean,
And it's very comfortable.
hi, show.
I know.
Nice show.
Thank you so much for
You're
that.
welcome.
Okay, I wanted to read you. Okay, so I did get another message from somebody about this.
First of all, real quick,
Yes.
that was actually great because I think a lot of times people are going through a divorce or a custody battle or support or whatever the dispute may be. They don't really put it into perspective, and sometimes they're blowing their life savings on it,
Yes.
all their emotions, all everything, and God forbid somebody could be suffering from cancer-related illness or any sort of illness, or their kids could be, and just put things in perspective. Think about it. Think about your children. Think about the other parent of your children. No matter how much you dislike them or hate them or whatever it may be, this is really something nice to think about to really put things in perspective.
Absolutely.
No, I agree with you. And on this is going to sound a little cheesy, but on Facebook and stuff, you see everyone posting their life updates, and usually they're glamorous and great. But lately, it seems that I have been seeing parents who do have sick kids, and it does really make you stop and think for a minute, because life can change in a phone call. Right. We all know that to some degree. I know that personally when my previous husband was killed. So one phone call can change everything for an entire family, and the ripple effects of that, they never ever stop. So I think
That's
Jeff,
very
and
true.
it is an excellent point, because if we stop this now and work on it, and it can get better,
Can.
right?
It can.
Maybe I shouldn't read this message I just got.
Well, we all have to count our blessings, right?
So, as attorneys, what do you guys say when somebody says, I don't want to pay my child support? Or if they say, that's too much, do it again. Does that, I know it can't be done, but do people say that too?
Oh, definitely. But we say, it's a formula. There is a state formula that requires, it's an obligation. So it's not something that a parent has a choice about. It is an obligation. It cannot be waived by a parent.
And it isn't something you guys have cooked up in your, in your
No,
conference
and
room.
if they say that it's too much, of course I would want to listen to why they think it's too much or what their understanding is, and then provide some education about why we have child support, where it's going. And actually, too often I don't hear that it's too much. I hear it's not enough.
Well, we have to
Because-
tell everybody that support, medical, uninsured medical, visitation, and custody is always, always, always modifiable.
Yep.
Which means if there's a change in circumstances, somebody has the obligation to go to the court and let that court know. So if you were making $160,000 a year and now you're making $80,000 a year, you better get your butt in there and say, hold on, I got to change the circumstances. This is a reality. I did it not of my own volition. I didn't quit my job because one of these, parents says, I'm going to quit my $180,000 job and go work at, I won't say McDonald's.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to go work somewhere else and make, minimum wage. The judge imputes the income and says, you're the one that did this. You did it voluntarily.
Right.
But that's also important because, yes, you guys cook something up. Let's say both sides did cook up their own order and they were able to convince the judge to not follow the guidelines
Deviate.
and to deviate exactly based off whatever number you guys came up with. Here's the thing, it's still always modifiable. So you can have that signed. Somebody could walk out of there and go back to the judge, say, Judge, you know what? Their income is X, my income is X. I need it to follow the guidelines. And they could change it. So if you gave up something else in your divorce case, or whether it be parenting time, or it could be spousal support or property or something, in order to pay less child support or in order to receive more, it could be modified and go away. So you can't, the only things that could be final are property, support, spousal support, which is only could be if you agree to non-modifiable, you don't go to trial, that's a whole other issue. But that could be, but the property is, everything else, as Pete said, is all modifiable.
And in addition, it should be. And here's the reason why. If you were still married and had a great relationship and everything, it's taking away the income that you normally would have to take care of the family. So unless you did it on your own and you voluntarily quit or you got yourself fired because you did some stupid stuff, the reality is you got to modify it when this happens, and that's the course you take. No different than medical. All of a sudden, the plant closed down. Now there's no medical on, the children. Somebody's got to go out and get medical or look into how we're going to go ahead and succeed from where we have in the judgment that I'll keep the kids on my medical.
Right.
Elisa,
And
what
then
were you
in my cases, we have deviated in situations where the parents are working together. Let's say it's a collaborative divorce case, and the clients are working together, and they've decided how they're going to pay expenses for their children in a different way that is not through just child support. And so we have to be very specific when we're drafting the judgment of divorce so that the next attorney or a judge or a different friend of the court referee can interpret what the parties intended at that time. So we make it sound it's easy to modify. It's not necessarily easy to modify, but if you put the time and effort and energy and expense and pay the money in the beginning before your divorce, you
Correct.
will have fewer problems later.
So you're saying up front when you're getting divorced,
Yes.
as hard as it may be, to actually sit there and think through.
And that's why it's important to deal with somebody that's experienced. Don't just go out there and price shop or find whoever it is that somebody tells you to hire. Make sure you do your research. And here's the biggest thing, especially in family law, a good lawyer is going to tell you stuff that you don't want to hear. So if you're going to a lawyer that's going to side with you and agree with you and tell you everything when you hear and maybe either mislead you on what it could cost or be unrealistic with you, I'd run far away from that. The reality of it is you're going to get told stuff that you don't want to hear. If it's a
That's how
good
you know you
lawyer,
have a good
experienced
lawyer.
lawyer that knows what they're doing. Absolutely.
And there are a lot of details to
Right.
pay attention to. So you don't want to shortcut yourself in that stage when you're making those life decisions. Because yes, it's modifiable, but if you aren't prepared and don't know what it can be modified for or about, then later you're going to have more difficulty.
I've had people that didn't want to hire us in the beginning because they found somebody cheaper,
What?
and then they
Yeah.
come
How'd that work
back
out?
after the fact and probably spent, multiple amount of time, amount more than what it would have cost had it been done right from the beginning. When they come back, it costs a lot more for post judgment stuff.
I agree with you.
It
I mean,
does,
I know it's been a while since I, was in, but I really do agree with these practitioners that are in that arena because you're not a short circuit things where the neophyte or inexperienced practitioner doesn't have that skill and knowledge because they haven't seen how you can get two lawyers together and said, look, we've agreed to all this stuff. Let's get these things worked out. If we can't, we'll mediate them.
Yeah.
And let's get the case done. I mean, I don't want to sit there and tell them, oh, you got a great case and then lose it, right?
Right.
So we're going to give them the straight up. Look, most judges want to give 50-50 on stuff. And they don't think that just because, there's circumstances where that you were working and mom was at home, it always doesn't work that way with judges because they say somebody had to go out and make the money. Somebody had to go ahead in the partnership and raise those children. Okay? So these things are very, very interesting today because a father says, well, I'll stay home then and I'll just raise the kids and you can go out and work. It doesn't work that way.
Well, and one thing we haven't touched on when talking about child support is it depends on not only the income, but how many overnights.
I was
each
just going to
parent-
mention that because somebody.
each parent
yes.
has with the children, and that can become a problem because once you are at equal parenting time, where the children are with each parent an equal amount of time, the child support amount does drop significantly.
Okay, so hold on. So Heather told me, she wrote in and said, so my husband was such a bleep bleep that he would have
Jeff, do you
her.
want to interpret that?
He would.
I mean, the camera's right there.
Yeah, that's probably why I shouldn't.
Because overnights count, right?
Right.
So her ex-husband would say, okay, you can come and get him at 12:15 a.m.
No.
Right. That's
Judges
why,
will say that's totally unacceptable.
right.
Totally.
But he pulled this.
Yeah, he can pull whatever he wants,
That's-
but she'll pull him right back in court and said, is this acceptable?
Well, she might pull him back in court, but again, people are afraid to go to court. And we don't know all the circumstances that are going on with them. But she has to know, and maybe she didn't know what her rights were,
are.
or that no is a complete sentence.
But, okay, so an overnight counts from when to when?
Overnight.
I've stumped them. No, I mean, so when does it start at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night to?
It's a full overnight, which means if 6 o'clock a.m., is that still overnight for a child? I would think so because
I
the
would
kid
say
has to sleep
Yeah,
so many
for sure.
hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, going at midnight, are you violating a duty and responsibility for what's in the best interest of the child? I think so. And I think the front of the court would realize, is this all
It's
about
a
getting an
game.
advantage? A game
is.
for
It's a game.
another overnight.
And that's the thing. If I have a client asking me for more overnights, if I find out it's only because of child support,
Off
then
and out.
yeah, none. But sometimes people ask me, well, what do you think? I could reduce my child support amount if I got more overnights. but are you able to work as hard? Are you able to make the money that you need
and
to
are
make
you
to
going to
support
be with
yourself
those
and your family?
children, right?
And are you actually going to be
Yeah.
there or not? Now, here's the thing. A court's not going to punish a parent for working, so childcare and assistance and help is acceptable because we don't want to deter people from working, right? But at the same time, how can you? I mean, listen, I hate to say this, but if I had to take care of my kids on my own, I wouldn't be able to work nearly as hard as I work right now and do what I do.
And especially getting them to,
Yeah.
some of their extracurriculars, like these, I don't know, parents get these kids into 15 different things.
Not only that, but on a snow day, or if the child is sick.
Just saying.
Yes.
Just saying.
On a snow day, or if the child is sick, are you going to stay home with the child?
It's another
because
thing.
It's
That's
your
why-
day.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
That's why it's important to maintain as good a relationship as you can with the other parent.
And I
it's
think
going to make life so
sometimes-
much easier.
Sometimes
It
it's
really is.
the bitter battle, but after a while, they start to realize that maybe I'm not doing the right thing here by fighting all the time. Maybe I can sit down and rationally get things resolved.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? Let's talk about what we're talking about, our specialty court.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have a divorce
But this
conversation
is, I know,
later.
But this is important though, because it all goes into the background of it and how people end up not paying their child support.
And the big thing is, don't ignore it. I see so many people that are in the position they're in because they ignored it and didn't want to deal with it.
They're afraid. Elisa mentioned it. Court is intimidating. The friend of the court is intimidating. You're smirking.
Lawyers
Why?
are intimidating.
Yeah, you guys are intimidating.
Don't forget
No,
us.
this? No.
Okay, so
Me?
all right, yeah, me, little old me, intimidating. Okay, you've got 2 minutes to talk about your project.
Oh, good. I got 2 minutes. We talked about everything under the sun, but let's talk about what is here, and it's a reality. If we're going to go ahead and not find the person working, then we want to go ahead and give them that opportunity to say, it's not my issue anymore. It becomes the family issue, which means you may not want to see the child, and that's your choice. But I would hope that if you're paying child support, that you believe that even if the relationship with the mother or the father is fractured, give that child a chance. That's the only childhood that child will ever have. And I'm going to advocate for the kids till the day I die because I come from that big family. My best years was hanging out with my brothers and sisters and doing the things that we did, albeit, we didn't have a lot, but we had happiness within the family. And it's important for me to share with everybody that give that kid a chance. He didn't cause the problem. He came into your life, whether, voluntarily, whatever you want to say. But when you got a chance to make it right during those 18 years, do the right thing. That's all I ask. Do the right thing.
Thank you. Okay, Jeff, what do you say to somebody who is on the fence about their child support or about this program even? What are your thoughts?
I think call a lawyer. If you truly can't afford a lawyer, call the friend of the court. There's a support specialist assigned to your case. I believe in every county, right? There's a support specialist.
Yes.
And you call the friend of the court, get to the support specialist, talk to the support specialist, find out, say, what do I owe? How much do I owe? What could be done? Can I start making payments on this? How can I make payments? Or I need some time. I got to figure out, get a job, file a motion. If you need to, you can, I'd strongly recommend you consult with a lawyer and have a lawyer help you with it. But there are ways to do it on your own as well. And just don't ignore it no matter what.
Okay, Lisa, how about you?
Absolutely. Take action as soon as you know that you're having difficulty paying your child support, and talk to somebody who has knowledge about what is child support and why am I paying it. If you're having those feelings like, I can't pay this, it's too much, or I'm not seeing my kids, why should I pay child support, which we hear a lot, and they are completely separate. So even if you're not seeing your children, that's a separate issue that maybe needs to also be handled, but don't ignore your child support obligation because it's too easy for it to grow into a huge problem.
But also don't be intimidated by a really large number. I had somebody recently who, just through conversation, I realized owed a huge number of support. And with a few phone calls and phone call to other parent and the friend of the court, we were able to work out a deal to settle it out for a fraction of what was owed, because otherwise they weren't going to get any money, and was able to come into some money or borrow some money to make it work. So don't be intimidated and think, oh, it's over, I already owe $20,000
It just
or more,
gets
or
worse,
whatever
right?
the
It
number
just
may be.
escalates.
Yeah.
Right. It just continues
Just
and it
continues.
grows with interest.
So I have heard stories where people, I mean, the kids are long gone.
Mm-hmm.
And does child support, do those payments linger?
They
or
stay on the computer rolls, and they are going to be there until you die as the payer. So that's the only way you get out of that obligation is your death. Otherwise, even if you become disabled, there is a portion that has to be paid, as well as if you leave the state. You know, we have these long arm orders that get into another state to have you taken in. Now, will they extradite? Look, here's the interesting issue. If the child wasn't supported and it's now over 18, graduate high school, when the obligation ceases, when you are voluntarily making payments, there's a time when you don't have to pay anymore. When the child is not so much a child anymore, by law, thanks. But it's reality. It's this. Why would you want to keep this thing going? And on top of it, you could be looking in the rearview mirror one day and see the bubbles go on and being pulled over, taken in, and your child could be in the car. Worst experience I can tell you for a kid. My mom's getting arrested for an obligation that concerns me. And then
and
we
then
go
CPS
again.
gets called,
Yeah,
and there's a whole
it's a
investigation.
mess.
It's all of that. But one thing is too, I want people to realize it's not only you. It could happen at anybody. I've represented doctors, lawyers. I've represented a lot of pro athletes that have been in this position to where there's a huge arrearage of child support, and I have had some where they have been extradited from out of state for such a large amount. Yeah.
Okay, so this is always going to be with you unless you take care of it.
I would say,
It will follow you.
you know what? The best thing is preventative. Do your job, because otherwise the child.
And the best thing is what Pete's doing with this pilot program. I mean, when we were talking before the show, I go, it's like so simple. Like obviously, if the parent isn't working, why can't we help them get a job? Right? Like so. What good is it putting them in jail?
And then it's
The
on them if
child's
they don't
not
wanna
going
work.
to be
What do
any
you
better.
do then? I guess this is the closer. You get in the job. They're supposed to start at 8 o'clock. They're supposed to be done by 4. They get the hour lunch. After 90 days, they get the medical benefits for themselves and a child or children, and they don't show. How much more can we do for an individual? Do you want to have now what's called Uber service to get them to work? I mean, how far you want to go with this?
Right. So, okay. So real quick, what happens if they do all of that and then at the end of the day, they just don't do it?
So we bring them in on the warrant. I don't want to see a felony conviction, and none of you should get it that far. But assuming you do, we're going to give you a last chance, which is this. You can take your plea to your felony. You can take it under advisement for a year. It's called 771. And at the end of a year, if you've maintained the employment, paid the support, did everything you were supposed to, we're not going to bother you. We want to get you on track. That's what this is. Compliance, compliance, compliance. It's not about punishment. When you don't show up for your job, Michigan Works is going to notify the friend of the court. They're going to notify probation. They're going to say, not showing up, termination. What choice did you give me then? This is your world. I'm passing through.
Right.
You either show, do your job, or you're going to be violated. I'm giving you your last chance.
Actually, I know you compared it to sobriety court and drug court and different types of things, but I like what you're doing better.
Well,
because
thank
the
you.
difference is, listen,
No,
I
keep
have
talking, Jeff. There's a lot of people listening.
I have a love-hate relationship with the sobriety courts and that type of stuff. Well, it's great for some people. What I find is the problem is a lot of lawyers will convince their client to immediately take that plea, get them into sobriety court without looking at any of the discovery, any of the evidence, and it could have been a winnable case. And not to say, listen, some people truly need the help, and sobriety court's phenomenal for that. It helps them, keeps them very accountable, gets them back in shape. And I've heard several success stories, had clients with success stories. But on the flip side, I see people that, and not that it's okay or justifiable, but people that went out one time, shouldn't have driven after they drank, but their lawyer is telling them to get into this program right away because they're not doing any work, they're not looking into it, and it could have been something to where maybe the officer didn't administer the test properly. It could have been something to where something could have been suppressed, or maybe the blood alcohol content sample wasn't done properly, and maybe you really weren't over the limit, and it's getting you into it right away. Whereas with child support, unless you filed that motion that we talked about earlier in the show, and stop the clock on it, you're probably going to owe it and not be able to get out of it. So this is a phenomenal program that I think
Thanks, Jeff.
everybody should take advantage of.
And one more thing, this is critical. If you do have the warrant out there, when you're picked up, you don't just get out of jail. 25% of the then owing arrearages. So if it's a $10,000 you're back in arrearages, you owe $2,500 to be released from jail. Now,
Sometimes people can't come up with that.
and when you'll be surprised, it comes out of the woodwork.
Well, that
It must be somebody down the street that's got all the money.
But
But
too.
we've
No, you're
collected $3.3 million,
just by doing that.
not only under that, but also having them come in, voluntarily setting aside the warrant. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Own up to what it is you owe.
People will come up with the money
It's
when
a-
it's
when it-
You-
yeah.
and
It's
you
so-
can't
To
go
get out of
bankrupt
jail.
on it. You can't go bankrupt on your child support either.
Right. And
okay.
it's so important for the person who owes that much money taking
Yes.
a positive step in their life, and maybe even better things will come from that.
I agree.
Because they're going back to work and
agree.
they're with community, and they see that the world is not against them.
We are willing to work it out with anyone that's out there. Anyone. I don't care. Come on in. We're going to work with you as long as you're going to meet me
I have
halfway.
some clients to send to
Let's
you.
go. Here, we'll give you the hotline. Get them in today.
Give me the hotline number.
Walk them over. Okay, so Debbie, give me the website for people can get tickets because the door is open. It's
You
going
go
to be
on
open.
going
Carmanos
to the
Cancer
door.
Institute and just follow all the links if I start telling you all the letters and stuff,
Okay.
I will get confused
Okay,
and I'll
that's
say
fine.
it wrong. So
And what's the name of the fundraiser again? The gala?
it's Cars for the Cure.
Cars for the
Care.
Care.
Third annual, right? And
Yes,
it's Saturday,
yes.
September 20th.
This Saturday, and everybody come.
Everybody
There you
come.
go.
Is the door okay? Jeff, I feel like Jerry Springer. Final thought?
I think what Pete's doing is phenomenal in Macomb County, and I'm not just saying that. I truly believe in that for reasons that we stated here as well. But again, my biggest message to everybody is don't ignore it. Don't be afraid. It's going to get figured out. And back to the front of the court issue as well, it truly, the system isn't designed for you to fail, and it's not designed for you to be broke. The only way you're going to be broke is if you fight it, ignore it, or just don't want to deal with it. Or if you're just relentless and fighting it, think you can outsmart it. That's not the case, right? But it's important to have a good lawyer because a good lawyer could help you save some money or allocate the money to the way it should be allocated for the best interest of your children. Not necessarily that you could dictate where child support goes, but I mean as far as figuring out your income. For example, if you own a business, and sometimes people are afraid on the other side to actually figure out what that business owner makes when it's the other parent because they sometimes have to hire experts, which costs a lot of money. But sometimes it makes sense to hire that expert because child support's always modifiable, and especially if your children are young, you should talk to your lawyer about hiring an expert to try to figure out what that other parent makes. Sometimes you need a forensic accountant. Sometimes it's a business valuation expert. You don't know. But talk to an experienced lawyer about it. And even if you can't afford to hire that lawyer, talk to that lawyer. And you should be able to get some guidance by somebody who understands it.
Do you have an 800 number?
I do. I don't even know what it is. We don't use it anymore. So our number ends in 4 zeros.
Okay.
It's easy.
Lisa, your final thought.
So my final thought is that child support is an obligation, and it's an obligation of both parents. Both parents are contributing to that child support. So always think about what you're paying as being a portion of what is required. And if you feel that you can't afford it, talk to somebody with knowledge that can help you decipher how the number was calculated. And if you really are in a bind, talk to the other parent. But if you can't afford it, because you've had a change of circumstances, file a petition with the front of the court immediately. Don't let it accrue during that time.
Okay.
And I am very much about the resolution and finding that resolution. I think what Pete is doing and making this a public program, that we have Michigan
Works.
Michigan Works, and we can find you a job, and it's your first step toward positivity.
Awesome. Okay. You're
Okay,
up.
the sizzle and the sale.
Yes,
the
go
close.
on. Close it.
If-
Coffee is for closers.
If we have an obligation as the other lawyers have indicated in here. And if it is a court order, I can't change it unless you do something about it. And that something is voluntarily come on in. Believe me, this is not where we got you and get you in handcuffs, all that. Forget all that. I don't want you to have another felony on your record if you already have one. Times are tough enough. But if I can get you to go ahead and cooperate with me and get you to cooperate with the office and get you to go ahead and get back on track, who knows? You might have a better outcome and a better thought of life going to a job, because I believe one of our presidents said it best. Purpose and meaning is within your job. You have something to go to every day, and you also have an obligation then to be on time, do your job in the right way, and the reward is your money. And as a result, I want to see people mentally that if they are not mentally fit, if there's drugs and alcohol involved, let me get them into the right court. Then we know what the problem is, what the inhibitors are. But when they don't have these issues and they're just cheating the child out of the support, it's not what we're all about here. We're doing the right thing when we can so that we have a better world for tomorrow.
All right. Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And you know what? I know you're not going to believe this. I'm going to actually be in Macomb County later this week hosting the Macomb County Summit.
All right.
Super excited about that.
Yeah.
So we're going to
Look
check.
me up. I'm around.
Are you around? Are you going to be
Sure.
there? We're going to check in with Phil real quick, and we'll be right back.
On Thursday, we are hosting our third annual Community Engagement Summit at Macomb Community College's South Campus in Warren. We have Nicole Sherrard-Freeman, the CEO of the Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan, coming to join us, as well as Salvador Salor-Pons, the president and CEO of the Detroit Institute of Arts, which, Brooke, you will be interviewing Salvador to learn more about the DIA's community engagement strategies as part of our proceedings.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a question.
Oh, you got a question? Okay.
Yes. With every system, money has to fuel the system. As far as the money that gets collected from child support, how much of that actually goes to the parent?
All of it.
All of it. 100%.
I get asked that question a lot
All of
too
it.
from people.
And you know what? Somebody said Lucido's doing this because of the fees for the state and this and that. Tell your troubles to Jesus. I'll tell you that right now. Because that ain't happening. That money goes right to the child. That is what the system's set in place. But a cooperative reimbursement unit is specifically given to me because the statute says I have to collect it when moms or dads go on state aid. Hence, it's in statute. I'm supposed to do this job. I'm going to try to make it least offensive for everyone. Otherwise, no one's going to want to cooperate with the system.
Gotcha.
It more saves the state and the county money by having parents paying on time and regularly, because then you don't have to devote the staff
And the resources.
and the
you don't need the public
resources.
assistance.
Right. I mean, because I know that systems like that, sometimes taxes pay employees and all of that, so I get that. I was just wondering if it was 100%.
And
that
the
goes
federal
to the parent.
grants that each county gets based on their collections.
Because then they're not using federal funds.
So what do you guys say to the situations? I'm sorry. The situations where some people weaponize child support.
You can do what you want, say what you want, but you know what? Show me the proof.
Okay.
Show
No
me the
problem.
proof.
Okay, so
Because
They weaponize child support. We were talking about that. I mean,
nobody's weaponizing anything. When you're reporting your honest income, that's what the state says is a fair amount to take care of the child.
so you have I know a few people. I had one guy who was married. They lived together. Kids lived with them, and he was still on child support. No matter what he said,
That's his fault.
he's still
Right,
on
again.
child support.
It's his fault.
a change in
Then
circumstances.
then you have a guy. Let's say it's a guy, and I can't remember his name, but his case has been going on for years, where he found out the kids wasn't his, and
Yep, I got one.
even had the paternity test.
Yep. And he wasn't the father.
Wasn't the father,
Huh?
and his rearages is crazy and still going on.
this-
No
Would that
matter
be
how
dropped?
much he fights.
Watch. You have a statute of limitations in which to bring the action and show that, and some fathers don't do it because they said, look, I'm the only father this kid's ever known. I'm not going to bastardize this child.
Right.
Therefore, if the person sat on their rights and didn't do anything by going into court and said, hold it, I am now taking my paternity test. I am not the father.
Right. This particular person did.
Okay. Were
Wish
they
I could
married?
find the
Were they
case.
married?
I don't remember if they were
That's the
married or
most
not.
important because there's a presumption. If
Yeah.
you're married, these two being married, it's presumed to be the father who it was married at the time to the mother. Now that presumption can be rebutted by having a DNA test saying
Right.
this is not my child.
That was done.
Yeah, I had a case when I was in practice. The mother had 3 children with the father that they were married. And during that period of time, he said, my one kid doesn't look like me. And we were down in Wayne County. And I said, let's get the paternity test done.
Yeah.
They took blood back then and sent it to Sparrow Hospital. That one came back and it wasn't his kid. So he said, do the 2 other ones. 3 separate fathers.
Wow.
He wasn't even the father of any of these kids. I sat in court that day and I said, I don't want to make this call for you. This is clearly your decision. I sat in my car afterwards when 3 kids were bastardized. And I said, what kind of lawyer am I? This system is really broke. It's messed up. These children only knew that father as their father.
Yeah.
And today, now the mother's going to have to go and get all 3 fathers into court. But if I didn't do it before he got divorced, that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
Those are his kids.
So what happens to the arrearage?
There was no arrearage. They were married still.
But in your case, was there an arrearage?
Oh, I had to.
Not yours,
not
your
his.
friend.
I'm like,
Wait. You're asking for a friend.
You were
I'm
talking,
like, no.
You're asking, just
I'm not
asking for a friend.
the situation you were talking about.
Oh,
That your friend, the father, has a very large arrearage. If he's not the child, if he learns he's not the child,
Yeah.
does he still owe the arrearage?
Does that go away?
right. I mean, because I'm saying you have these instances where
Yeah, it happens.
the mother lies, and then this guy gets stuck.
The mother has to report who the biological father is presumed. If she slept with many partners, then she's going to have to give them all up because once she starts to get support from the state, she has to go ahead and offer up the individuals that may be the father. They have to go through a paternity test, which is real easy now. There's no more drawing blood. It's a litmus test with a piece of paper. And at the end of the day, we will know who the father is, but we will also then attribute that support amount to the father instead of the state rolls, because that's what we're trying to do, eliminate the state from paying 22% of almost a $40 billion DHS. That's $10 billion.
Yeah.
How about this? Can I use that to help out seniors that can't take care of themselves? Can I use it to children that have special needs? Can I use it to fix a road?
Right.
That's the important part, that we're not fulfilling our obligations of what we currently have out there by just using the tools without a dime to the taxpayers. Not a dime.
Just want to let you know that's not my experience with child support.
We believe you. We believe you.
Just keep convincing us, Dean.
Yeah,
Just
my
keep
story was
convincing
way
us.
simple with child support.
All right, we got to get
Mine
going.
is
I
unusual.
have one question.
Okay, last one.
You made a comment that no matter what, if the parent did not pay their child support, it continues on, even after the child is an adult?
No.
Okay.
18 graduate high school, but not beyond 19 and a half, so long as they're going to school with a full-time schedule to properly graduate.
The accrued child support remains. So it doesn't continue to accrue,
But
that arrearage
like-
that they've accrued
The
to
arrearage,
date, the arrearage lives on.
so if there was an arrearage from 18 before, and the children are now 28 and 30,
There you
that
go.
still sits there?
Yes.
Yes.
And that father never has to pay it?
No, he has to pay it.
Still has to
Always
pay it.
Follow.
Probably a
Right.
warrant out for his arrest, because I told you, anything above $5,000 is a felony.
Oh, okay.
Okay, they gotta go. We gotta go.
We gotta go.
We gotta go. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thanks,
You're
bro.
I
welcome.
appreciate
Great
it.
conversation.
All right.
Coffee hot.